Okay, I'm just going to go for it. Hey, everybody. Today I'm sitting down and talking to Ron Luczak, and he's a kind of a surprise find here in the Flint area. He's a guitar maker. He's here in the Flint area, and he makes guitars, gorgeous guitars, and he's got one with him to show you and play a little bit. And Ron, I'd like to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
And first off, is like how long you been making guitars?
I've been making guitars since 1985.
Wow, and that's a good chunk of your life.
Yeah, it's a pretty good part of it.
And what inspired you to go into guitar making?
I think that, I was a guitar player a long time ago, and everybody around me seemed like they played guitars, and then one day I just thought, there's no big surprise about that. I want to do something that's different, so I thought I'll make guitars. I had no idea what I was doing, but bought a little bandsaw and some wood and tried to make one, and it didn't turn out too good, but it led to number 2 and number 3 and number 4.
Now that's unusual. I mean, it's like, now what is the label, the term that they use for a guitar maker?
Luthier.
Luthier. Now, where does that come from?
I have no idea.
No.
I didn't even know I was a luthier until about 10 years ago.
Now, because it sounds like it might have been a German word or something like that, or definitely got to be from Europe. That word.
European,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I think way back whenever the first stringed instrument was made, the lute maybe it was, and I think that's where that name derives from.
Yeah, because that makes sense, and that's why I was thinking luthier. Yeah. No, the excellent quality. I mean, this if you want to bring that up to the camera right there, you see it right there a little bit.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful finish on that. And it's got And now I was talking to different people, and they were insisting that you buy your necks from people and assemble stuff. And when I saw your website, Larry Crescetti from the Laundry Room, another show that I used to do with, I used to work with him. He's the one that found your website, and he said, "This guy's local. You got to see it." And I was over at his house. He pulled it right up. Your website. By the way, it's scrolling across the top here as we're talking. So he was like really surprised you're in the Flint area, and he's definitely want to contact you about making a guitar for him. But an excellent guitar. I mean, it's like that's got a great feel to it. It doesn't feel like I've picked up a lot of guitars, and they feel like chunks of wood, and that one doesn't have that feel. This one's got like a life to it. It's got some lightness to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of guitars made today are chunks of wood that are made by CNC computers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but my kind of reason to do this is because I want to do it like all the old guitars were made, with your hands and with real tools out of boards of wood. I don't buy any pre-made parts at all. Everything I buy is just blanks of lumber.
No, except for like the fret parts. I think you probably purchased them somewhere.
The wood, this is called rosewood that's on the face, and that's just a piece of lumber when I buy it.
Right.
And then when I get it in, I cut the slots in it and sand the radius on, glue it to the back of the neck, put the fret wires in, the dots. So again, I'm not buying any pre-made, except for maybe the pickups and the bridge and the knobs and things like that.
And that's a little more electronics, right, than woodworking. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's like how long does it take you to make a guitar on the average?
They take different amounts of time depending on what's going to be on them and whatnot, but generally it probably takes about 4 months.
Now, do you allow for a lot of personal, individual choices and options on each guitar?
Yeah, I think you have to, because you can't please everybody with one thing.
Okay. Yeah, it's like it sounds like it sounds like you really do you work closely connected to the customer when you're making this? Or do you have a lot let them put a lot of input into it, or?
Yeah, it turns out that way. For the most part, they know that a guitar is going to be what it's going to be, so they let me kind of run with that. But they might suggest wood grains or colors or size of the way the neck feels or something like that.
No, it's a beautiful guitar. I mean, it's like that's the only one you have right now of your own that you actually keep with you.
Yeah, this one I made for me because I didn't even have one of my own guitars, and every time someone came over to my shop, they could see lots of them that were in different stages of completion, but never any that were done. So I thought I need to get one and just keep it so it's ready to plug in and play, because a lot of people need to, they want to feel them and play them and stuff.
Now, like, do you have any kind of dream material that you love to work with but haven't yet? What would you like to work with? Have you came across something you just haven't worked with yet but would love to, or?
Not really. I mean, I just kind of stick with traditional, and that's all the good electric guitars from the 50s and 60s are made out of maple and mahogany and rosewood, and I think it's been time tested. It works, and there's a lot of exotic woods that are out there, but I just think that I've experimented a little bit with them, but for the most part, they're really oily and hard and heavy. When the guitar's done, it's way too heavy. And the tone of it is really not better than what this is, so I just stick with, the good old mahogany and maple.
Now, see, I know like my family, mom's family plays violins a lot. You know, they're Hungarians and they play a lot of violins, and they like the, you know, everybody's always about the Stradivarius, and they think it might have been because of the wood, because of the trees. Grew up in like the middle of the what they call the Little Ice Age, and it might have been an influence in the quality, the sound quality it produces. Also, some people would theorize it was the varnish or the now what that is beautifully finished, extraordinary finish on that. And what kind of finish do you put on it? What kind of chemicals do you put on that, or what is that finish?
It's nitrocellulose lacquer. Mm-hmm. It's I guess back in the 50s and 40s that was used a lot, primarily nitrocellulose lacquer. And it's really time-consuming to put on. You have to put on real thin coats of it, one at a time. And you know, your question earlier, how long does it take to build one? Well, it might take 5 days to go from boards of wood to pretty much a wooden guitar, but it takes another 2 months to paint it because you had to put, you know, you just had to, time has to do its thing with that kind of paint. And the reason I use that paint is because it makes the guitar sound really alive, like you can feel the whole thing shaking when you play it.
Yeah.
Whereas polyurethanes and plastic coatings, they look real pretty and shiny, but they deaden the tone of a guitar. And so I don't even go near that kind of finish at all.
Now, like, we were talking before that we started doing this at a show here, and I asked you like if you'd like to see them in the hands of famous, you know, band members and all that. You actually, you're surprised that your answer kind of surprised me. You just rather whoever it was, you just want them to play them. That's what you're more.
Yeah, I just want, you know, the guitar to me is like an enjoyable thing, of course, and I would rather make them for people that take them out and play them and enjoy them rather than hang them on their wall and look at them or put them in a vault and wait till they are worth money possibly later on in life. But if you want to do that, go ahead. But I'm just saying that to me, it's made to be played and used. You know, don't be scared to put a scratch on it. This has tons of scratches all over the back, and I'm not worried about buffing it up, you know, to bring it up to par again because it sounds great and it feels right, and that's more important to me than, you know, the way it's keeping it pretty forever.
No, I mean, I don't know if you know this is a personal question, but it's like, how many guitars on the average do you sell per year?
It depends on the year. It's like sometimes I make, 1 year I made one, and then 1 year I think the most I've ever made in a year was maybe like 15, 16, something like that.
Good year.
Yeah, that was a good year.
Yeah, it's like
it's been a few years back.
Yeah, because it's well, it's been about 2 years. I think this recession, of course, Flint area, and you are a Flint area resident.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen any major prosperity. And it's like you grew up probably in the 70s, right? Late 70s.
Yeah.
So it's like you probably seen this come and go. You know, a lot of people left the area. You know, a lot of people left the area. Now, I mean, is there bands around there in the Flint area that have your guitars or play your guitars?
You know, I'm not really sure about that because a lot of times I've seen my guitars on eBay, that the ones that I made years ago and forgotten about, and then someone will call me and say, hey, one of your guitars is on eBay. So I'm always curious, and I look, and it's one that I've made like, you know, 10, 12 years ago, and somebody's just reselling it, turning it over, and then a lot of guys, the guys that buy them, usually get a hold of me to verify if I made it or not, and they see my website, and they're interested about details about that particular one. So, you know, I'll kind of confirm if I did it or not, and then I usually gain a customer that way because then that guy, once he gets the guitar that he bought, he'll like it, and then he might say, well, hey, if you're still doing this, I'd like to have one made this color with this kind of a thing, and so I usually end up doing that. Yeah,
it sounds like it's like that kind of perpetuates itself, you know, in business for you. Now, like I was asking you too earlier, just before we started the show here, is like if somebody brought in material, say if something was sentimental, like a tree, a trunk of a tree or something like that that had been aged long enough, would you know how to? Would you be willing to process that into a guitar, or?
Yeah, I certainly would look into it. I mean, as long as the wood's not too tore up or dried out or split and cracked, you can't really do much with it that way. But yeah.
Now, you ever worked with walnut, like American walnut, or?
I haven't done too much with walnut. I think I've used it very little, and there's no reason that I don't use it except for that I stick with what I know.
Now, that design on that is actually the grain of the wood, the one you got.
Yep. These lines in the top, the wood grows like that. It's called curly maple or figured maple. The violins that you spoke of earlier tend to have that on there a lot.
Now, where does that come from? What countries usually have?
Well, this maple actually comes from right here.
Really?
I mean, it comes from a lot of different places, but it grows here in Michigan, Canada. It's hard rock maple. It's really hard wood. The figured maple comes from a portion of the tree where it's most of the tree is a lot more plainer of a grain, and this curly stuff, there's less of it in the tree, so it's a little harder to find it, and it's definitely way more expensive to buy. But when it's done, you know, when you put color on it and lacquer and shine it up, it really just pops out.
Yeah, that is beautiful. That and now, can you show people the back side of that?
Yep, the back side is just mahogany, Honduras mahogany. One big piece from there to there, one big block of wood, and the neck is also the same mahogany, and again, it's one piece of wood. I like to make things out of one piece instead of gluing pieces together, because then you get to the point where you got so much wood glued together, you start losing the resonance, and it starts sounding like glue.
Did you ever take courses in guitar making?
No, I had wood shop when I was in high school, and I hated wood shop, could not make a square box. And I got out of school, and probably 4 or 5 years after I graduated school is when I started thinking about making guitars. And I don't know, I just did it because I wanted to. I just had a drive, I didn't really know how to make a guitar neck, but I just looked at guitars that I've had and measured from them and just copied what I saw. And then, again, the first few didn't really turn out so great, but after you get going at it and you get a little better tools, it's pretty easy to kind of arrive at how to do it the right way. It goes with anything, I'm sure.
No, that's kind of frustrating. I mean, it's like I think there's a great deal of appreciation for your craft is because you persevered. I mean, setbacks like